Hello friends, in last few videos we have seen how system behaves with variation in zeta. In this video we are going to understand time domain specifications where you will learn new concepts of delay time, rise time, peak time, settling time along with peak overshoot. Let us begin. So far we have seen if zeta is changed, what happens with a standard second order system, that is for zeta equal to 0, it acts as undamped system where we consider that system to be not stable because of the localized oscillations. Whereas when let's say zeta is increased than 0 but kept less than 1, that is when zeta is lying between 0 to 1, it acts as underdamped system. When zeta becomes 1, then it becomes a critically damped system, and for zeta greater than 1 we have seen it acts as a overdamped system. So we have seen that in spite of that, for some sort of values of zeta still system is stable, then the question is what value of damping factor should be preferred. So now let us concentrate on this discussion. So let us see the first case, that is for zeta equal to 0. We have seen it behaves as undamped system, and then we have seen that system oscillates freely with a natural frequency omega n, and then this is undesirable because of the localized oscillation. Therefore zeta equal to 0 is the value we cannot prefer. Second, when zeta is lying between 0 to 1, we know that then the system behaves as underdamped system. Between 0 to 1, when it is behaving underdamped system, we have seen the system is stable, and therefore we can prefer this. Third case, that is when zeta becomes equal to 1, it becomes critically damped. In fact, we have absolutely no problem with critically damped system also. So even in this case we can still prefer, because we see that system is still stable and steady state error is equal to 0. And fourth, when zeta is greater than 1, it becomes overdamped system. And for overdamped system, we have seen that even though the system is stable, there is some steady state error. I repeat, even though the system is said to be stable, there is some steady state error present. Along with that, system is slower and sluggish. So system may become slow. So we mostly don't prefer this. It means there are two ideal situations where I can keep my zeta, that is these two cases, that is I can prefer zeta equal to 1 or I can prefer zeta value between 0 to 1, out of which again there is a problem for zeta equal to 1. The problem is we cannot keep zeta exactly equal to 1. We know that system parameter may tend to change, and if they changes even by a little bit, then there is a problem. How? See, let's say zeta is kept equal to 1, but let's say it has become 1.2 because of some reason, then it may get into overdamped system. Therefore keeping zeta exactly equal to 1 is not practically possible. Therefore we prefer zeta lying between 0 to 1, and therefore most of the time you see that whenever you learn control system, and especially this chapter, you will always see you study underdamped system. And that was our motive to understand what value of damping factor should be generally preferred. Then the answer is case number 2, that is nothing but underdamped system. So zeta we will keep between 0 to 1. Even though it varies right from 0 to 1, there is no problem for stability. I'm saying there is no problem for stability. Still, even between that, that is between 0 to 1, zeta changes, it is going to affect somehow, but then that would be our next video where we will see how it affects the system. But For now, we are sure that we can keep possibly our zeta between 0 to 1. So we always study underdamped system and not other systems in detail. So let us recall the time response of a standard second order system when unit step input is applied in underdamped case. So don't forget that our input is unit step. So first of all, we are going to draw a unit step input as a reference value. We know that your output must follow your reference input. So we know the actual output. This is what I have drawn is a reference input. So how it starts? Our actual output starts from 0 and then it starts oscillating. Slowly, we know that this oscillations value keeps on decreasing, and one fine time it become exactly equal to 1. That is when t tends to infinity. Am I right? So what I have drawn is the actual output. Now in this, we are going to study different time parameters. Let's say if this is the maximum value that I have to reach, am I right? Because this is the reference input. So if I just take a half of it, it would be 0.5. Am I right? Can I say that this is nothing but the 50% of the desired value, because the desired value is nothing but 1. So in terms of even percentage, if I say, I would say 0.5 means 50% of the value. So what I'm actually doing, I'm taking a timestamp on a time scale for that instant. Now time taken by a system to reach to 0.5 of the output, that is nothing but half of the output, or in terms of percent I can say time taken by a system to reach 50% of the output is what we call as a time delay. It is indicated as TD. TD stands for time delay, or simply delay time. Next, time taken by a system to actual output, that is nothing but 100% of the output. So I can say this as instant, and if I project on a time scale, the time instant is known as TR, where TR stands for rise time. So we know that our output must head to or must reach to 100% of the output, that is nothing but a desired output, that is nothing but a maximum value equal to 1. But once it reaches to 50% of its desired output, we say it is delay time, and once it reaches to the desired output, it is called as a rise time. But we know that our output is not stopping there, it is actually moving ahead, and then it is going to the maximum peak value, and then if I actually take it down, then this is actually known as TP, where TP stands for peak time. Can't I take even this as peak time? Can't I take this as a peak time, or possibly this as a peak time? Then the answer is yes, you can do so. So in general, this is called as TP1, this is known as TP2, this is known as TP3, this is known as TP4. So we will have a discussion on peak time also, that is different peak times I'm talking about. And finally, you see that even though it is oscillating, this oscillating goes on decreasing because of the damping present. And finally, it reaches to a steady state. So I would say at this time, it is reaching to a steady state. So what I need to do is, I need to extend a time scale over here. So I'll do that. So this is known as a settling time, TS. Now for this delay time, peak time, rise time, as well as for settling time, we have predefined formulas. And before we proceed for predefined formulas, we have to see one more factor within the same characteristic, and it is nothing but this. that is the maximum peak and the actual desired value, and the difference is known as MP, where MP stands for peak overshoot. Generally, this MP is calculated in percentage MP. So it is just once you have the value of MP multiply by 100, you get percentage peak overshoot. So we shall see this peak overshoot formula also. So I'll write just predefined formulas and then we will discuss those formulas also. So let us discuss these time parameters first. First of all, we will see a delay time where TD is 1 plus zero point 0.7 zeta by omega n. Then second, a rise time denoted as TR, which is pi minus phi upon omega d. Please don't forget, there is a very important thing that we need to understand. This phi, we have already seen in last lecture, that is phi is equal to cos inverse of zeta. And this phi must be in radian. Why it should be in radian? Because this pi is in radian. So please make sure that when you are having cos inverse of zeta, you may get by default answer in degrees. Try to convert it into radian, or if you are using a scientific calculator, then make sure that you are operated in a radian mode. Make sure this phi comes in radian and then only you put it into the formula. Otherwise, you will come across a wrong result. And mostly in competitive exams, you will see that whenever you make such mistakes, which are common, and whenever you get a wrong result, it is also present in one of the option. So they don't only design the question smartly, but they design the options also smartly. So we have a peak time also, that is TP, which is denoted as n pi upon omega d. Let us understand the meaning of this n over here. As I have shown in the last figure, that we don't have only one TP. This can be TP1, TP2, TP3, TP4. That is nothing but this suffix value are indicated as n. Okay. For example, let's say if I'm interested in TP1, so just substitute n equal to 1 and get TP1 formula, that is pi upon omega d. Let's say if I'm interested in TP2, just substitute value of n to be 2, so it becomes 2 pi upon omega d, and so on. So I hope you have understood the significance of n also. Then fourth, we have to understand a settling time. So the standard formula for TS is minus ln percentage error divided by zeta omega n. Now I want to discuss this formula. Why it is minus ln percent error divided by zeta omega n. Let me tell you, if you actually refer some books, or you might have studied during your university days, they tell you some formula like 4 upon zeta omega n or 2 upon zeta omega n. That depends upon what settling time they do consider. Like, let us see first of all what is settling time in the figure. See, this is what we called as a settling time. That is nothing but I'm talking about this instant settling time where output settles to 1. But let me tell you, in real time, you don't know what is meant by a stability or when you get settled in life. Like when you give your SSC exam, they say that your parents say that you'll get settled. After that, a 12th becomes, a settling time. That is, once you do your 12th, then you are settled in life. After 12th, then you take admissions to engineering. So when your engineering ends, you say that you will get settled in life. So basically, you never get settled. Even practically, when I'm talking about a technical subject, that is control system, a settling time depends upon the error that you consider. Okay, so the marginal error you may consider during having settling time. So depending upon that marginal value given, settling time formula changes. So depending upon what forbidden gap they do specify, that is a 4% error or 2% error and so on. For example, they tell you to calculate, let's say, settling time when there is a 4% error. Then what you do, 4% error means 0.04. So just substitute 0.04 value in percentage error position Okay, get the numerator and then divide by zeta omega n, you will get a settling time in seconds. So this is what you have to do, because in textbook if you see that they specify for different tau values, that is for 2 tau, 3 tau, 4 tau, then you have to remember multiple formulas for TS. Basically you remember only one formula, so whatever percentage of error they ask you to calculate settling time, just calculate your accordingly numerator and get the final answer. Last, there is a peak overshoot, or we would say a percentage peak overshoot, percentage MP. So you might see a percentage MP formula as e to the power minus pi zeta upon root over 1 minus zeta square multiplied by 100 during your university days. But let me tell you, that formula is applicable only when you have a unit step input. I repeat, it is valid only for a unit step input. So there is a problem. What if it is not unit step input? What if it is just a step input? In step input, what will happen? The magnitude may change from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 and so on. So you have to always have a generalized formula. So the generalized formula says C of Tp minus C of infinity divided by C of infinity multiplied by 100. So I'll tell you what is the meaning of it. It basically tells you to prefer C of t function. We know that controlled output is a function of time. So first factor, you see what is the output at peak time. So in this figure, as you can see, at peak time, it means we are looking after this peak time. So you have to see what is the value of C of t at peak time, referred to as C of Tp. Is that right? Then this is nothing but C of infinity value. So in this case, C of infinity value is 1 in case of unit step. That is, when t tends to infinity, it will make sure that it will reach to 1. But as I said, if it is not unit step, let's say it is a step input with magnitude 2, in that case, C of infinity may become 2. So this is nothing but a C of infinity divided by C of infinity multiplied by 100 will give you in general percentage MP. I hope you understood this formula. But yes, for most of the time when there is a unit step, you can prefer this formula, that is percentage MP is equal to e to the power minus pi zeta divided by 1 minus zeta square and this whole multiplied by 100, because you want your value to be in percent. So I'm sure you have understood all those time domain specifications. Remembering these formulas are very, very important. Okay, but I'll tell you where the confusion begins. Confusion begins like in the denominators, like somewhere it is omega n, somewhere it is omega d, as you can see. So the confusion begins when to substitute omega n and when to substitute omega d. And even during your university days also, you might have realized this, or you may have this subject in your current semester, and you may get confused when to put omega n and when to put omega d. So I'll give you some trick to remember this. See, look at this response, and now I'm going to redraw this response and I'll make you understand how to remember this. First of all, it is going naturally. Okay, see, we want our output to reach to which value? One value. So when it is naturally approaching to 1, we had absolutely no problem. So for delay time, you know what, no damping was required. I repeat, no damping was required. If there was no damping required and naturally when it was actually approaching to value 1, we would say denominator will be omega n. So denominator is omega n. As you can see, for TD formula, denominator is omega n. After that, when it reaches to a peak value, and then as you can see, it starts oscillating. If it starts oscillating, then thereafter, you know what, the damping is required. When the damping is required, the denominator becomes omega d. So for rest of the time parameters, you will always see omega d will be the denominator. So as you can see, omega n, when it was naturally approaching to 1, there was no problem. Thereafter, for each and every time parameter, you will see omega d. That is when the oscillations has started. only for settling time, you will see the denominator is omega n. Reason? Because settling time comes only when the output is settled. And when the output is settled, then there is no requirement of the damping, right? So naturally, we have omega n in the denominator. So I'm sure now at least you can remember where to write omega n and where to write omega t. Thank you.